Hello again. Well, throughout my life, I've been a big fan of HiFi magazines, and I can remember as a teenager, I'd go down to the newsagent every month, and I used to get What HiFi then. Still subscribe to HiFi magazine. This time I subscribe to HiFi World, and I really enjoy this, and I look forward to coming to the letterbox every month. But you always have a fancy that things were a bit better in the old days. You think there's more stuff in it. So I thought I'd do a comparison. So this is the November 2020 latest version of HiFi World, and I've got one I bought off eBay for a couple of quid, and this is the September 1981 version of HiFi for Pleasure. A magazine that's now sadly defunct. So I thought I'd give them a bit of a comparison. And certainly things have changed. Firstly, I was somewhat struck by the cover. Now, as you see, they've got this model. I'm not sure what would you call that? Kind of a Dracula-inspired sort of one-piece plastic swimsuit thing. And what she's done is she's tied some speaker cable tightly round her, and she's given a good old pull there. And the headline is "Speaker Cables Tied and Tested." I suppose it is one way of demonstrating the tensile strength of the cable, but I kind of sense that they probably wouldn't use that sort of imagery these days. That's perhaps a bit inappropriate. So, looking at it, there is definitely a lot more reading. So, for example, there's 210 pages in this, whereas the modern one there's 98. A lot of adverts though, and you used to get these sort of, I used to like get a Comet, and there's pages and pages of adverts from Comet. Also interesting, adverts of some things I had. So back in the day, my favourite headphones were Sennheiser, and I had one of those. It's sort of black and white, but had these had a sort of a canary lemon yellow foam to them, which I thought was quite snazzy. And you've got the Celestion Ditton 100 speakers, which were part of my system at the time. There is, I think, one of the reasons why there's a lot more to read in it is that there are actually a lot more products around these days. So here you've got a comparison of 8 budget turntables, and it's got turntables from people that don't really make turntables anymore. There's Toshiba, Trio, Hitachi, Sansui, and there's this one there from Akai. I think they do Pro Gear, but the Akai used to make some decent stuff, but the name's been bought. I saw some very sort of plasticky looking Bluetooth speakers in an electrical shop a while back. But anyway, there are 8 turntables, and the other thing that struck me about it is that the amount of, sort of detail they go into. For example, you got traces of wow and flutter there, and sort of arm resonance. They go into an awful lot of detail of the technical side. So if you want a good read, there's a lot of good stuff in here. And again, if you go to the headlines, on the speaker cable, there's quite a bit on this. You see, they got the girl there again. This time she's having a good old bite of the speaker cable. See it responds to a bit of chewing. And what they do is they look at 4 sort of hi-fi brand speaker cables. Monster, Marta Audio, QED 79. That's the one I used to have. And they compare it to some standard sort of mains wire, and there's no if you look at the detail here, they've got things on damping factor, signal loss. There's equations for damping factor, DF equals ZL over ZS. It's all good and interesting stuff. The one thing that I don't think's changed is the conclusions. I used to go on HiFi forums, but I don't anymore because the immense sort of anger and vitriol, and regularly someone was a bit bored would put up a thread saying speaker cables don't make a difference, or there's no point spending a lot of money on optical cable. Then people pile in from both sides. Anyway, you might be interested in the conclusion. I say they found that the mains cable did less well than the standard speaker cable. It said here, it is interesting that despite the exotic claims heard from cable manufacturers, I have yet to see any objective and most importantly relevant measure results to support these. Nevertheless, it was the opinion of all listeners that these cables do represent a worthwhile investment. So what they're saying is, they don't measure any difference, but they think they can tell a difference. So 30 years on or 40 years on, I don't think much has changed. Anyway, there's only a couple of quid. I quite enjoyed this, so if you get the chance to go down memory lane, TDK SA tapes, you see a lot of them, then it's worth it. Thanks for listening. Bye bye now.